And my friends and my family and everyone around there that's watching on the internet right now. This is Mr. Ferrera's Motivational Talk Week 3. This week we'll be speaking about excuses and how many of us make excuses on a daily basis. We wake up each morning and we have that mentality of we did something, yesterday or last week, and someone complains about it, we make an excuse. We do something that pretty much bothered someone or that wasn't appropriate, we make an excuse. We make a mistake, we make an excuse. You know, let's try and stop with the excuses, okay? One way to move on in a positive manner, and be encouraging to people is having less excuses in life. So taking responsibility for actions. So in other words, you wake up, first thing you say to yourself is, "Oh man, I don't want to go to work. I don't want to do this, whatever." Um, don't make excuses. Find reasons to do things. And if something you do wind up doing, the consequences don't come out right, it's done wrong, don't make an excuse about it. Have no regrets. Take blame for it and just make up for it later on. The less excuses one uses, the better you'll be feeling. Some of us actually tend to lose relationships, lose friends over excuses. And what I mean by that is, like I said, sometimes you'll do something that's inappropriate, you'll make a mistake, and you'll find an excuse right off the back for it. As a student, you didn't do your homework last night. You go to class with the excuse of, well, I couldn't do my homework because I didn't find my book, or I didn't do my homework, my dog ate it, or I didn't get, to take down the notes. Find a reason before you find an excuse. In other words, know the reason why you didn't do something instead of making an excuse about it. You didn't do your homework because you personally got distracted. You didn't have time for it. Then just be upfront and say, I didn't have time. It's my fault. I take responsibility. There's no excuse behind it. We do have situations where you do have to use an excuse. Someone falls ill and you're in the hospital all day, or, an accident happened, an emergency. Those are excuses that we have to live with day in and day out. And those are necessary excuses. But some of us take excuses for granted. We use excuses pretty much to cover our rear ends for everything that we don't want to take accountability for. And we have to stop. My mentality has always been, to try and not hurt people's feelings. And in doing so, I've made my fair share of plenty of excuses. I've done wrong and I've made excuses, and it hasn't necessarily panned out correctly for me. And I've learned from that. And in learning, this is why I bring this out to you. So the possibilities of you not having to experience that can become reality. I it's kind of hurtful in ways where you do something you don't take accountability for and it winds up hurting someone. Sometimes it hurts someone so bad that they never forgive. It'll sit in their minds for a very long time. And it's painful because as much as you try to make up for it, that person will never forgive you. That person will always hold it against you. And, you can't blame them for doing so. And the only person you can actually really get mad at is yourself. But to avoid that, you know, keep your excuses to a minimum. Use them only when you really need to use them. Only when they're appropriate. Only when there are emergencies. I'm not saying don't use an excuse for everything, but, use them when they are meant to be used. You lost a game, committed a couple of mistakes during the game that caused, the other team to score, whatever. Don't make an excuse about it. Take blame for it. We lost today's game. I didn't play well. We lost today's game. I didn't put the effort in. Know what it is you did and just take responsibility for it. Don't make an excuse about it. Just take responsibility. Um, you know, in everyday life, we want to wake up and we want to have the perfect day. We want to get out of bed right off the back thinking positive to ourselves. And going out there and doing something in a positive aspect and doing something that's going to influence people, be influential, you know. Find ways to do things that instead of leading to a result where it's going to force you to make an excuse about it, do something that's going to be productive. Do something that, you know, is going to be engaging, is going to be encouraging to someone, and it's also going to be helpful. And in the long run, who knows? You may have created something big. You may have invented something. But excuses, we might want to start reconsidering what exactly we use as an excuse. Okay, I can almost assure you, the less excuses you use in life, the better you will begin to live. The more friends you will have, the closer your friends will become to you, the closer you will probably be with your family. Less excuses equals less problems. All right. So, with that being said, this week's segment about excuses should be enough motivation for you to wake up tomorrow and say to yourself, after viewing that video that Mr. Ferreira did, maybe I will minimize my excuses. And whatever it is that I do today that lead to something an unfortunate circumstance, I will not make an excuse about it. I will take full blame and responsibility for it, and I will make up for that. I will hold it down, I'll hold accountability, and I'll be honest about it. All right? It's hard in this world to really be completely honest with everyone, especially when it means hurting someone's feelings. But as I've been told many times, especially by those closest to me, it's better to be straightforward and honest with someone as opposed to holding back information and not saying the full truth simply because you don't want to hurt their feelings. You know, if it does hurt their feelings, at least you were honest about it. And I've learned from that. You know, you can say something that'll be hurtful and they'll hurt, but you were honest. And one thing they can't hold against you is that you were completely honest with them and straightforward. And maybe then they will respect you and earn that respect from you. I've had my opportunities to have a best friend or whatnot, but I honestly I don't have a best friend right now, and it is kind of lonesome. But I take blame for that. You want to know why? Because a lot of the actions I did and a lot of things that I did not take accountability for came back and bit me in the rear end. So I leave you with the fact that keep your excuses to a minimum. All right? Very small minimum. If you don't need to make an excuse, don't do it. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with your friends. Be honest with your family. Be honest in general. And life will become that much simpler for you. All right? Leave the excuses. Take over the accountability for whatever actions it is you do. God bless. This has been another segment of Mr. Ferreira's Motivational Talk. Until next week, God bless. Be well.